Bulldogs. Question for Ole Miss. You don't have to be an Ole Miss fan to answer this. Okay. Ole Miss is ranked top 10 with Heisman buzz from Trinidad, and both are deserved. However, when you look at this schedule for Ole Miss, it is brutal. And it's a whole different ball game when you're talking about playing LSU, Florida, Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma. Probably went over that too fast, didn't I? LSU, Florida, Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma. Can you get through that and get to the playoffs? Or does that group knock you out of the playoffs? Does Chambliss carry them through? On the Mississippi State side, Jeff Lebby is 7-18 in 2 years. You have to play Bama, LSU, Oklahoma, and Texas. And both of you have gauntlets. In fact, I think Ole Miss on the front end is yeesh. And Mississippi State's run of Alabama at LSU, Oklahoma, at Texas. My question is, can Lebby go 0-4 in that stretch and make it? Or get you to whatever the win total is? If it's 6, that's sad. But if it's 6 or 7, then especially because I think the league's going to be even more watered down than it was last year. So I think there's so many winnable games, even for Mississippi State, Arkansas, South Carolina, Kentucky type team, Auburn type teams. I really do. I just don't. You watched it again. Vanderbilt went 10-2 last year. Nothing about them jumped off the screen at me, other than when Diego would make some really cool plays. It didn't look like they were super athletic, super talented, blah, blah, blah. Vanderbilt went 10-2 last year. Ole Miss went 11-1. So this league has been watered down with the portal. We know that. Georgia, Bama, LSU, Texas don't have the same depth, right? I don't know if Ohio State, because they're in a different part of the country, is going to be able to do that. They underachieved last year, so we'll see. I guess they maybe too many pats on the back coming out of their national championship year, right? 2 years ago. Just too much. You're awesome. We love you. Whatever. I don't know. We saw that with Mississippi State baseball and Ole Miss baseball a few years ago, right? But watching I loved watching Diego Pavia. I don't know if anyone else other than a Vanderbilt shows talked more about him. And I like him stylistically. He was fun to watch. He did things at Vandy that have never been done the last 2 years, but they went 10-2. Nothing about them was electric or special. So back to Ole Miss and Mississippi State, you both have gauntlets. I think the Ole Miss schedule, the first 4 games, is way more challenging than what you've had, and you have a new head coach. Now, you have obviously top 10 talent, okay? But you don't have a top 5 head coach and a top 10 offensive coordinator anymore in Lane Kiffin. And that's not just plug and play. I know we all think so. When we lost Eli or Dak or whatever was going on, I've heard it all. But, when certain coaches have left. But those are my questions. Is Chambliss enough to get Ole Miss to the college football playoff, knowing that Ole Miss plays LSU, Florida, Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma? That doesn't mean you can't lose in, some other games. I mean, to other teams. Not all those games you're going to look, but those teams have talent. I know Florida's on, they will be on the up and up, but still, they got dudes. I promise. I mean, look at last year. Florida led 70% of the game against Ole Miss at home, and they had a guy named Billy Gonzalez as their interim coach. I mean, they had no idea what they were doing on offense. So Ole Miss plays LSU, Florida, Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma. Is Chambliss enough to carry them through? The Golden Moon Casino text line is 601-885-3776. Your SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue. The official health care provider of the Out of Bounds show, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. So there's that question with Ole Miss. And a tougher non-con game, right? I mean, last year, Washington State at home was like playing West Monroe Tech. Yeah. And then the question for Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby is 7-18 in 2 years. But you play Bama, LSU, OU, and Texas. OU is Oklahoma. You play Bama, LSU, OU, and Texas. Can you navigate that? And they're all in a row, by the way. It's not like there's still some landmines on each side. Again, Ole Miss is at the end. They would be considered one of the top teams you play on your schedule this year. You know, of course, for Ole Miss, you're one of the bottom teams that they play this year. In fact, if you wanted to go Ole Miss's, okay, so yeah, you would be considered the easiest conference game on the schedule. Yeah. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what? At Vanderbilt and Auburn at home?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but for Ole, Mississippi State, Ole Miss is one of the most difficult games you're playing. Yeah, you could argue it's at Ole Miss. You could argue it's the most difficult. Well, yeah, at LSU, at Ole Miss, and at Texas. Good God, and Bama and Oklahoma at home. Why have I not looked at it like this? I keep thinking there's just an unbelievable path here for Lebby in a super watered down SEC to get. I just don't think it's Herculean to get to 6 or 7 wins. Those first 4 are more than manageable, but then it gets gross. For Missouri, you play Missouri, Alabama, at LSU, Oklahoma, at Texas. And if you can, I don't know, survive that, whatever that looks like, you get 3 at home for Mississippi State. Vanderbilt, Auburn, Tennessee Tech. Those are all winnable. And then you go play a top 10 team. A team with top 10 talent. Right, I don't know where Ole Miss will be. They could easily have 3 losses, if not 4, going into that game. They could have 2 or 3 going into that game. Hey, Taste Italian Kitchen opened up their terrazza. And so I say it's outdoor, but if you drive by the Renaissance, you've seen Taste Italian Kitchen. It's over there on the kind of I-55 south side of the Renaissance development. And we've talked about their super awesome menu, from wood-fired pizzas to pastas to tiramisu to bolognese and so on. Well, they have opened up this it's basically another restaurant that's connected, that you walk through this really cool corridor, and it is a beautiful bar and seating. You could have a rehearsal dinner there. It's huge. I was there yesterday. They just opened it yesterday. So they've got so many these air conditioning misters in there, but now, I mean, it's covered. It's got a roof and everything. So it's going to be amazing. And it is amazing. And you can, I mean, again, bar, food, you can get it out there. It's really nice. You're going to want to check it out. It'll lead the state in Aperol spritzes and, girls' night outs, which then guys go. I mean, it's got the vibe. You don't feel like you're in Jackson, Mississippi. You look out, you're like, where, it's got a Miami type feel. The lighting's amazing, the decor. You need to check it out. Terrazza. And it's cool. Very, very cool. So we've told you about all the shrimp scampi and fried calamari at Taste Italian Kitchen. Now their new indoor-outdoor space that's totally covered and has all these cool things is open. It's a bar and restaurant, basically another one, attached to Taste Italian Kitchen.
Love that.
Yeah. Terraza. That's pretty cool.
I like that.
I mean, Terraza, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad. All right, so let's go to the do we have any MVPs this morning? Let's do an out-of-bounds roll call. How are you listening? Where are you listening from? What do you think about my questions? Here we go. Mac is weighing in from, I think, Seagrove, somewhere around there on 30A. And we shipped Mac a couple of Whiskey 61 hats. No, a Whiskey 61 hat, a Whiskey 61 pullover, and a Whiskey 61 T-shirt. Mac was kind enough to send us something awesome. So, very kind of him. Mac says Ole Miss is 8-4, 10-2, so I'll go with 9-3. I think that's about right. Yeah. You have a much, much better chance to go 8-4, 9-3. Way, way, way better odds percentage than 10-2. That with this schedule, I don't see it. New coach, this schedule, having to play LSU, Florida, Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma, and there's some other teams that could give you some problems. Yep. I do not see 10-2. Mississippi State, for whatever reason, I thought their schedule was manageable. Maybe I was comparing it to the last 2 years where they got absolutely you know what. But then Jackson and I started looking at it piece by piece, and I'm sitting here going, what the hell just happened?
Right.
But those first four is where Levy makes hay, and then those three that I mentioned on the back end before Ole Miss at home in November, which you get some great November games. I don't know how many of you care if you're losing, but if you're still doing some good things, which is very possible in this super watered down SEC, you got Vanderbilt at home, super winnable for Levy. Auburn at home, super winnable for Levy, and then Tennessee Tech. So, I mean, you could get some feel-good mojo there at the end, but the deal will be your first four. La Monroe dub. Tom Luganville will be calling that game, which is cool. Then you go at Minnesota. You're better than them. Okay,
Yeah.
you're 32nd in composite. Now, Ole Miss is top 10, but you're now around 32nd in composite NIL high school recruiting.
Okay,
Minnesota's 49th. All right, and so then you go to South Carolina. They're around 20th composite recruiting NIL. Okay, you're 32nd. Then you come home and Missouri's there, and they're 20 to 25. So these are not like jump off the page, holy smokes, good teams.
Sure.
Minnesota, South Carolina, Missouri. Those are, got some good, they've got some good players in some spots, but you've spent $30 million, I've been saying this for months. People are like, Mississippi State spent like $12 on their, now Andy Staples comes out and goes, Mississippi State spent $30 million on their roster. Yes, Andy, we've been talking about that since February. Yes, Mississippi State spent 30 and could have spent $5 more million or $7 more million or $10 more million. But yes, that is a more than competitive $15 million last year to go 5-7. Didn't spend all your money the year before because Selman and Levy weren't prepared to go tackle the porter. They went and chased a high school class. I think that could be, the one thing that gets you at the end of the day. But Levy's got a chance. The front and the back of the schedule has super winnable games. That middle part, and I'm not giving Ole Miss a pass either. It's a brutal straight. They're going to be beat to hell and back too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk physicality index, how are you going to get through this? I don't know. I mean, I hope your strength and conditioning has been incredible since January 5th. Just unbelievable. I know you're still lifting. You scale it down a little bit because you're practicing 5 or 6 days a week, right? But, I mean, you were lifting 5 days a week since January 5th until August 2nd. So, I mean, that is unbelievable how many workouts. And so my question is, we know Savage, for example, Savage at LSU is awesome. Golding had to go out and hire a new strength and conditioning coordinator. I think there's a lot of question marks about how good Shad is for Levy. He was the assistant at Oregon. He grew up with Levy. They went to the same high school together.
Shocker.
And, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I don't know. But Do I think you're going to look more like an SEC team? Absolutely. And, of course, you've spent a fortune on the program, so you should. But I think there is something. I know we brush it off. I mean, you had 7 months in the weight room. I just had to count that on my fingers because it's early.
Yeah.
And I haven't had enough coffee. You've had 7 months in the weight room and out on the field for, speed and agility. I mean, so you're doing, but I mean, you're pumping as much iron and hopefully you're working the right muscles, the right things, the right, all of that. And then you're out doing speed and agility and da-da-da-da. So my question is, here you are. It's August 18th. Have you done what you're supposed to do since January 5th? I mean, high school coaches are asking the same thing.
Right.
So are NFL. I get it. Everybody, if you weren't working out 5 days a week, you're definitely behind. In the weight room, pumping iron, doing all these things, plus, and I mean, offensive linemen and defensive linemen are doing speed and agility stuff too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's short bursts, but it's super important on 3rd and 2, is it not? Right. Or whether somebody's pulling and can get there with that strong safety coming off the edge. Can your guy get there? Save the play, boom, you connect. Little drag route with the tight end coming across the middle. Everything's on the line. Everybody in the stadium is on the edge of their seat. You got to complete the pass to continue the drive. Does he get there? Or does he whiff and your quarterback gets smoked? And then you turn the ball over on downs.
So it feels like you're confident in the over of the season win total.
I'm sorry, did you tell me it was 4.5 or 3.5 for the Mississippi State Bulldogs?
4.5.
I'm going over.
Okay.
If you can't go over with this schedule, and it's still brutal.
Yeah, I mean,
but there are the first 4 games are all winnable. So can you go 2-2 or 3-1? You got those 3 on the backside I keep talking about. Vanderbilt at home, Auburn at home, Tennessee Tech at home. Got to win 2 of 3. Could win 3 of 3. Then where do you get it? Then you have teams that are really talented that you're playing, like Ole Miss, Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, and Texas. And my question with the big dogs is, can you get one?
One.
Mississippi State, you play Alabama at home. At LSU, you're not winning that game.
Nope.
Oklahoma at home should be
In play.
what? Oklahoma 60%, you 40? Or would you go Oklahoma 70, you 30? You tell me. All right. At Texas, 90-10, 90% chance Texas wins. Fair? Okay. And then at Ole Miss, what do you got Ole Miss? 70%, 80% chance dub at home? Is that fair? I mean, I'm just going through the power.
Right, I mean,
the best, most talented teams that you're playing. The best opportunity is Oklahoma at home.
yes.
No, by
Far.
I mean, I'm talking big percentage. Not even talking about the spread.
No,
I'm talking about percentage to win the game
Right.
against Venables in Oklahoma.
I mean,
That's Levy's sweet spot. That's the opportunity to get,
you better hope he is.
because no doubt you should be in the game. You should have a chance at Missouri at home, Auburn at
Right.
home, Vanderbilt at home. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, Levy pulls a good home
Slate.
for Golding and Levy to have brutal schedules. Levy pulls some really nice home SEC games.
No doubt.
Missouri, Vanderbilt, and Auburn? No. There's nothing special about any of them.
No. You think maybe the SEC office felt bad that there hasn't been one?
Evidently not, because Mississippi State pulled, along with 1 or 2 other teams, the most brutal schedule you could the last 2 years, and they still get, and maybe this is just part of it when you go to 9, okay?
Right.
Well, I mean, they should have given them Arkansas
Yeah.
and Kentucky
Yeah.
for what they did to them the last 2 years. I'd have stood on the table in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. But that's not the mentality.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, Alabama
At least you get one at home.
at home, at LSU, Oklahoma at home, at Texas, at Ole Miss. Those are your brutal games. Your best shot by far and away is Oklahoma.
And they're good.
They're not. You're right. I mean, let me go back to my numbers from Diamond Dave. Oklahoma was number 6 in defensive scoring efficiency and number 66 in offensive scoring efficiency.
Strong.
Yet this is the game today. I want you to think about this. And yet they won and yet they made it. They did not look like a college football playoff team. And yet they went to the college football playoff. Now, they hosted a game against an Alabama team that was totally flawed and got embarrassed. But they made it.
They were there.
So give Venable, do I think Venables is any kind of like long-term answer? Absolutely not. I think he's a Will Muschamp, other defensive coaches who can't get the offensive side of the ball right. And we see that.
Yeah.
Well, to date, Jeff Levy, who's an offensive guy, hasn't gotten the defensive side of the ball right. But the one thing, Will Muschamp went 11-2 1 year at Florida with like the number 2 defense in scoring efficiency, and offensively they would score like 13 points and win 13-6. Because I ran into them down in New Orleans, Wendy and I were down there, when Charlie Strong in Louisville and I think Teddy Bridgewater played Will Muschamp in Florida in the Sugar Bowl.
Yes.
Which neither one of those teams were that good, and yet they were in the Sugar Bowl. Different day the last 15, 20 years with that bowl game. We're live in the Bank Plus studio, the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 1059 The Zone. Hey, Friday Night Lights is powered by Madison Ridgeland Academy Football. Herbert Davis and them getting ready to strap them on and tee them up. It may be a double jockstrap game this Friday night. They're playing a monster out of Nashville, I think. Holy Mary Olzab. John Weaver, athletic director, joined us last week. This schedule that MRA is playing is beyond brutal. You talking about, Mississippi State and Ole Miss and their gauntlet? This is an absolute gauntlet for MRA football. And they're starting off with the power from the Nashville metro area. You can listen on ESPN 1059 The Zone every single game or stream it on the Out of Bounds radio app.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is now awarded.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Lowbound. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9. All set? Let's go. The Zone.
The football malpractice. The football malpractice. The football malpractice.
Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Brought to you by the Bone-In Ribeye at Kessler Prime and the Renaissance. Enjoy a Whiskey 61 experience with premium steaks, really, really good bourbon and wine, including Elijah Craig bourbon. And that would be award-winning Elijah Craig bourbon for all of us. All at KesslerPrime.com to make a reservation. 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app and the Zone 1059.com. I just want to let you know my Mount Rushmore for SEC coaches all time: Bear Bryant, Pat Summitt, Skip Bertman, Nick Saban. That's it. And don't get me wrong, there are some great ones that were left off there. I mean, it hurt me to not put Steve Spurrier on there. But he would be on there on the football one, okay, with Bear and Saban. The fourth would be a hell of a debate. Wow. But, yeah, Mount Rushmore, just SEC football coaches. Coach Paul Bear Bryant, Coach Nick Saban, and Coach, the old ball coach, Steve Spurrier, who was on this show and said he was not hired at Mississippi State. He said, evidently, they didn't like me. I remember what year that was, 86-ish, somewhere in there. He ended up at Duke and then Florida, as y'all know. Good morning. Welcome in. We would love to hear from you. We need an out-of-bounds roll call right now, 601-885-3776. 601-885-3776. You can find us on X at Bo Bounds. Tweet to us. Give us your number of wins. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Alabama, LSU. Who do you support? Who do you like? Who's your team? Saints, Cowboys, Giants, Cleveland Browns. Good grief. I'm sorry, NFL Chuck.
The football malpractice.
Yeah, the Cleveland Browns.
The football malpractice.
Coleman Hutzler.
The football malpractice.
According to Jackson Meadows, the New Orleans Saints first-round pick, Jordan Tyson, who's now going to be sidelined at least a few weeks with another hamstring injury.
The football malpractice.
Jaden Daniels' mom, possibly?
The football malpractice.
Okay, so there we go. You want to throw anybody else in? If you're an Arkansas Razorback fan, you've had
the football malpractice
for 15 years. You should have never fired Brett Bielema. Now you've been out in the wilderness longer than Mississippi State fans.
The football malpractice.
Yeah. Of course, Kentucky. What Mark Stoops did to you.
The football malpractice.
Trying to think what else. Auburn fans. They definitely think they've gone through
the football malpractice.
Post Gus Malzahn. Kind of like, yeah. Is that fair?
Oh, yeah. What's that guy's name? Brian what?
New York Jets.
The football malpractice.
Ryan Silverfield, SEC Coach of the Year 2026. Is that where you're going?
Well, I was.
You want to go ahead and throw that up on the board?
Why not?
2026 SEC Coach of the Year. Are you going Ryan Silverfield, the new head football coach for the Hogs? Huh?
I ain't even heard him call him yet.
Go Hogs. Yes, sir.
I don't know if he had. I would have continued to pay Sam Pittman.
No doubt.
$100K a year. Well, you just paid him millions to fire him because he did what a lot of Larry Fedora, Sam Pitt, they have one good year, you re-up them, and then it's like Clark Lee. He's going to be gone in the next couple of years.
No doubt.
But he won, so he's going to get $50 million and then they'll fire him and pay him out. But no, that's fair.
Hey,
Okay.
that guy can call
Ryan
the Hogs.
Silverfield, I don't know if he has called the Hogs like this.
Go Hogs. Yes, sir.
No,
You think he has?
not like that.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right. Wow.
Why is there air?
Still asking that question. Can Ole Miss, is Trinidad good enough to get Ole Miss through LSU, at Florida, at Texas, Georgia at home, at Oklahoma?
Maybe it needs to be
10-2 with that schedule?
Ugh. Ugh. What if you add,
What percentage would you give, even knowing that Ole Miss has top 10 talent and Trinidad and Lacey in the D-line?
yeah.
LSU, at Florida, at Texas, Georgia, at Oklahoma. And there's some other landmines. I just went through the big and baddest on your schedule.
Right.
Now, your best opportunities to win are your home games in that stretch of the biggest and the baddest. LSU at home and
But this
LSU at home and Georgia at home.
It hinges on that one game, though. I know one game doesn't make a season. but
September 19th?
well, for one school,
Okay. So, first of all, you got to beat Louisville. I know you should, but that's all great and good.
Right.
I mean, it's not like you're a 23-point favorite.
no.
Okay.
No.
So, all right. So, we're going to assume you pull away from Louisville, you win with Trinidad and that defensive line. All right. Fair enough. And Louisville breaking in a new QB.
Right.
All right. Then you have an exhibition game,
Sure.
and then you have LSU at home, which is where you're going. LSU at home, at Florida, back-to-back is super, super difficult for several different reasons. One, it's LSU and Lane and all the hype and all that. And Lane and Baker are really, really, really good coaches / OCDCs. All right. And you get a little bump for being at home. The talent may be a push. I think some people would, I think a lot of people actually outside the Ole Miss fan base would give LSU an edge. And while it's not a wide gap, there is a little one. Then Ole Miss would argue, yes, but Trinidad is older, the best returning quarterback, and maybe the best decision maker. When you look at his touchdowns to interceptions ratio last year,
Sure.
which is a fair argument.
Oh, yeah.
And LSU on the defensive line, they're still, in fact, I read another article yesterday about these three freshmen. I don't know how many of them are going to start. And I don't know what that's, I mean, that's kind of a catch-22. But my question is, early in the year, can Ole Miss, if that group's trying to get up and running, can Ole Miss take advantage of it? Trinidad ran for over 500 yards on the ground last year, and you know what Lacey did. So can Ole Miss take advantage of that early in the year? Maybe that LSU defensive line 3 or 4 weeks later is even better with these three super talented freshmen, 2 from Louisiana, 1 that they went into Georgia and got. He's a little on the smaller side, but I mean, it's not like he's 240, he's 275, maybe more than that now. Just something to think about. You can find us on X at Bo Bounds, and ice cold Michelob Ultra and wings at Martin's in Livingston. That's a winning combination. And the Martin's in Livingston caller line is 601-707-3750. Brought to you by ice cold Michelob Ultra and wings at Martin's in Livingston. And they just expanded for game day, and it looks amazing. Mike Detillier at 8:30.
Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check.
We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. That'd be a rude awakening for some SEC alums that think they run football programs.
Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check.
That is so delicious. Oh, man. Good morning. Welcome in. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Powered by the Golden Moon Casino Vegas-style sportsbook and championship golf at Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. Hit it today. 24 to 48 hours of fun with your friends. PearlRiverResort.com. We'll be up there a good bit starting next week or maybe Friday, but got to go out of town today, back tomorrow. And we'll see, but we'll definitely be at PRR next week. Looking forward to that. I think Mick Gillespie's heading there. Yeah, Mr. Bama Insider, he was texting me last night, and I guess he's got a couple more weeks left of minor league baseball with the Chicago Cubs AA affiliate, Smokies out of Knoxville. But he was like, do you want to meet at Pearl River Resort on Tuesday? And I was like, that could work out for sure. Let's see. Lee Dog says Mike Tomlin was on Fallon last night.
Bet that was good. I'll find that.
Okay. All right. Tomlin.
I bet it was good.
Yeah, he's I think he's going to be fun. He doesn't really have a filter,
No.
and that's a good thing for us. It's kind of like Lane. The guys who don't ever say anything are not interesting. I mean, Clark Lee, Jeff Levy, Ryan Silverfield, Will Stein. What are we doing?
Who are those guys?
But when you get some bark, John Summerall's got some bark in him. Actually, Alex Golish has gotten a little barky at Auburn. I like that. Elko's been quiet, and Heupel has been super quiet in the offseason, so they're not really interesting right now, although those teams both have talent because they're committed. But, of course, Pete Golding will talkie, and Lane's great, and Kirby's great, and Summerall. After that, DeBoer, Golish, Levy, Silverfield, Stein, you're not getting a lot there.
Boring.
Yeah. So, Kurt Signetti.
Not really.
Oh, God, so good.
Not really.
It's like, in the movies when, in the all these Netflix shows and people are getting killed left and right. You got all kinds of things going on, and CIA or this or whatever, double agents. It's like in those shows when somebody's about to die, and somebody would ask Kurt Signetti, will you spare me?
Not really.
Nah.
Not really.
I mean, this was the question for our listeners. The Purdue athletic director stepped up to the podium in his first press conference as Purdue AD, and he was asked this question.
I was wondering if you saw or heard the comments from Tommy McClellan in his opening presser.
We are here to win championships. If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana.
Kind of taking a little shot. Didn't know if you had any comments on that at all.
Not really.
Can somebody tell me what Tommy McClellan was thinking?
He wasn't.
I don't. What? If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana?
I don't understand.
They just went undefeated.
Yeah,
They embarrassed Alabama and Ohio State, and then punched Miami in the mouth in the fourth quarter.
Not only that, you've been outscored like 72-3 in the past 2 years versus them.
My God. I mean, what? Hold on.
I was wondering if you saw or heard the comments from Tommy McClellan in his opening presser.
We are here to win championships. If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana.
Kind of taking a little shot. Didn't know if you had any comments on that at all.
Not really.
That was Kurt Signetti at the end.
Not really.
Isn't that beautiful?
What do you say to that?
I want to wake up.
Not really.
I just want to play this nonstop.
Not really.
Golly. All right, back to my before we go to Mike Detillier. My Mount Rushmore SEC coaches. Coach Paul Bear Bryant, Pat Summitt, Skip Burtman, Nick Saban.
Got to get Mike's.
Huh?
I'd like to know Mike's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it hurt me to leave Spurrier off.
Yeah.
It hurt me to leave Rick Pitino off.
Oh.
But, Pitino was, 90 to 97? And while he had a tremendous impact on the league, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Like Spurrier.
Cal.
Both of them made people understand that you could play another way.
Right.
And they made you cover/guard, defend them in a whole nother way.
Yeah.
And here's an idea. Rick Pitino believed in using every square inch of the basketball court. And Steve Spurrier believed in leveraging every blade of grass.
That's right.
On the football field. As y'all know, we played between the hash marks prior to Steve Spurrier. You could play a 5-2 defense and get away with it. But most everybody was playing a 4-3. And then people realized, hang on, there's people running wide open down the hash. Yeah, that's because Spurrier's looked at your defense and he knows that you have no idea what to do. That's why he's dropping 52 on you.
Right.
And laughing at you in the fourth quarter. And over there serenading the band.
Run it up, thug.
Before we go to Mike Detillier, LSU insider on Skip Burtman and Jaden Daniels, that is my Mount Rushmore. Coach Paul Bear Bryant, legend. Pat Summitt, GOAT legend. Burtman, GOAT legend. Nick Saban, GOAT legend. Burtman, the best college base, even over Augie and whatever his name is, Dedeaux. Yeah.
Dedeaux.
Out at Southern Cal.
That's him.
Burtman is the best baseball coach in the history of college baseball.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Okay?
How many heads are on Mount Rushmore?
We can debate it over ice cold Bud Light and wings at Martin's and Livingston, but I just want to let you know. What now?
He said, how many heads are at Mount Rushmore? I have no idea. 4? Is it 4?
Yeah.
Nice.
LSU Mount Rushmore from RT. Curly Hallman, Jerry DiNardo, Brian Kelly. Well, you can't leave out Mike Archer. I mean, to round it out. So, I mean.
Add them all in there now.
Yeah. No, I mean, Curly Hallman, Jerry DiNardo, Brian Kelly. The Brian Kelly thing is
so weird.
I know people say he's not a good coach. He won at every level.
Yeah.
He won at every level. And
Definitely a good
from
coach. Grand
Valley to Notre Dame. And look, at LSU, he was kind of messing around at the 9-3 level. And anyway, and I know they've been raising even when Jaden Daniels won the Heisman, they were mad as hell.
Right.
Going 9-3.
Furious.
So we've got a 662 area code on the Golden Moon Casino text line. I don't know who this is, Jackson. You can look at that. Some actor from Breaking Bad, but I think I know who he's
talking about. Trout.
Okay.
Yeah, you would actually. You'll know if I show you a picture, you'll know who he's talking about.
I do know who he's talking
really
about.
Really good. This is a security guy. He's always there.
Yeah. Mr. DX asked a great question on the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line. How many NCAA championships do you think Pitino would have won if he stayed at Kentucky? Well, I'd say at least 2 more, but possibly 3. I don't know how many more but Final Fours is like the juice. I don't know how many more Final Fours Rick Pitino would have gone to at the University of Kentucky if he doesn't take the Celtics job. Even his younger son, Richard Pitino, who's in coaching, gave him hell the last couple of years in press conferences about if he'd have stayed in Kentucky, there's no telling how many Final Fours he would have gone to. Mike Detillier on Skip Burtman and Jaden Daniels. Coming up next, brought to you by Independent Roofing Systems, #1 in the commercial and industrial roofing space, roofing.ms.
you gonna show me the money.
Good morning. Out of Bounds, ESPN 1059 The Zone, Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans, LSU New Orleans Saints. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. You can watch the show right now on the YouTube channel. It is electric. Search Out of Bounds Sports. And the show is powered by Sound and Communications for your next video wall, for your school, your business, your church. That's all powered by Sound and Communications. Mike D on the show. Mike's the legend. I think he's the best baseball coach, college baseball coach in the history of college baseball, even over Augie and Dedeaux out at Southern Cal. All of them great, and there were others. But Skip Bertman passes away. You've known him for a long, long time. And talk about his impact on LSU and Baton Rouge and Louisiana baseball, Mike D.
Not only did he affect what happened at LSU, he affected the entire Southeast Conference. And Ron Polk won, and won big at Mississippi State. But Skip's impact, he became Bear Bryant of college baseball in the SEC. And he would always tell his story about that. When I first got there, look in the stands, and Michael had maybe 300 or 400 people watch us. And they were family members or wives, girlfriends, or people that got lost and decided to go sit in the stands. And he's like, my dream was to build this. I wanted that opportunity because, he had coached with Ron Fraser, who is one of the all-time greats at Miami of Florida. What Fraser did there was really special too. But Skip had a dream about what to do at LSU and how to recruit. And he did a fantastic job. He just really did. And he was not only a great coach, he also was a guy that was tremendous motivator and teacher. And so many of the people that played for him had all these stories about what he did for them after playing for him at LSU. He told me a story one time, and I think it's partially true. Okay? He was the one that put the licensing fee on tickets and everything else. LSU had never done that before. It had been done at Florida and I think at Georgia before. And they decided to up the ante on the licensing fee. And so they would charge you a certain amount per year to drive your RV, which is huge in Baton Rouge. If you've ever been to a Tiger football game, I mean, they got RVs all over the place. And so he meets with all the people that have the RVs, and he comes up with that line about guys, the administration, the upper echelon, they want to charge you $10,000 a year to park your RV for LSU games and basketball and baseball. And I said, that's no way that's going to happen. No way it's going to happen. I'll shut that down. And the gas when people hear $10,000, and he says, but I tell you what, he says, I told him I would cut that in half, and now you'll pay $5,000. Man, everybody's clapping and cheering and everything else. And he said, I walked off the stage and I told the chancellor, that's how you do it. But, okay, now, how much all of that is true, I'm not real sure.
I love it.
Skip, man, he had a way of stretching the rubber band. But, man, he was great with people. even up until last year, and his health was failing, he would come to a game and people, would stand there and take pictures with him. He'd sign autographs. That was Skip, but he was a great people person to help you, and would always ask about you. How you doing? How's your family? And and how's everything going? And I had Tim Brando on last night. Brando had not heard the story, and he did a talk not far from where I live, and I got invited to introduce him. And it was standing ovation for Skip when he get up there because of what he had done. And we had the microphone set to him. He was in the wheelchair and everything, and he talked, and I mean nonstop. So if you think you're going to talk to Skip Bertman and have him on for 5 minutes, you can forget that. It'd take him longer than 5 minutes to answer a question. So afterwards, we sitting down talking, and he was like, when I first got here, I think I introduced you on a television show. And I said, you did, 1984. And he says, I knew you were never going to be a full-time guy in this business because you got a lot of planets revolving that sun that you have. I was like, yeah, I get it, Coach. And he said, but man, look at Brando and what he's been able to accomplish in life. But he said, but from the womb, everybody should have known Brando was going to be an announcer. And Tim told me, Mike, I never heard it. He never told me that. He said, he would give me a backhanded compliment, but he said, he would tell you things like that, but he wasn't going to tell it to me. And that was Skip. He wanted to make you laugh. He wanted to make you feel comfortable around him. He did a great job of recruiting the type players he felt could win at LSU. Mm-hmm. And the last game he played, he coached, he got beat by Tulane. And so, in the tournament. And he was like, I'm just a washed up old coach at this stage, and he would sort of wink it off, I'm just a washed up old coach. But man, you talk about a great guy, Bo, just a terrific recruiter, a great motivator of men, a guy that knew how to touch the right button to get you to play for him. He was a fundamentalistic type coach, and he's going to be missed. And even after, his time here as a baseball coach and then athletic director, he was unbelievable ambassador for LSU.
Yes.
And Jay Johnson would always tell me, I go to him. I go and talk to him about certain things, if it was baseball wise. And, but he was one of a kind, and he did become Bear Bryant of SEC baseball.
No question.
Okay, other guys won. General Nealon won big in Tennessee. Johnny Vaught won a lot of games at Ole Miss, a ton of them. But Bear took it to another level, and that's what Skip Bertman did.
No doubt.
Well, SEC baseball, and he would always laugh. You know what? I did great, I guess, for LSU. They didn't fire me. But he said, I made everybody else better, which made it worse for me. But that was Skip, man, and he was really something else. Just to hear him talk and that sort of half gravelly voice that he had. But, man, great storyteller. And he had them, and just what he did for everybody here. And he made you feel like he knew you for the last 40 years. Even if he had a 5-minute conversation with you.
That's the power right there. He made you feel like he had known you for years and you were the most important person in the room. And man, when coaches are good at what they do, plus they have the superpower of what Mike Detillier just described, then you got something. And that's why he's the best ever. My Mount Rushmore all time, Mike D. And I'm leaving off some great coaches. But my Mount Rushmore of SEC coaches, regardless of sport, Coach Paul Bear Bryant, Pat Summitt, Skip Bertman, Nick Saban. I mean, that's my four. And
here's the crazy part. Skip was there when they hired you know who, Nick Saban.
That's right.
And he has said to the last conversation that I heard, we spoke, he was like, Saban is the greatest coach of all time.
Wow.
In college football. He said, regardless of sport, he's the greatest.
What a compliment from Bertman, who won 5 national championships and went to 11 College World Series at LSU. All right, so Mike, let's continue on with Skip Bertman. We may get to Jaden Daniels, we may not, but I grew up with Bertman. I'm fascinated by him. I got to meet him. I got to talk to him. He was so nice to me. Didn't know who in the hell I was. So Mike Detillier, WWL Radio on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. Talk about his larger-than-life personality and the fact that he was also this big promoter for LSU baseball. You mentioned early only 300 or 400 people going to the games, and he created a carnival with fireworks and the San Diego chicken. He was determined, like you said, to sell people on, hey, this is inexpensive entertainment. Come out and see us. We're going to entertain you. Talk about that, Mike D.
Yeah, he had a bit of some people might not. He had a bit of Bill Veeck in him.
Yeah.
He was a bit of a showman, and he knew he had to sell people on LSU baseball. Here's the crazy thing: at one time, you could have gotten LSU baseball on the radio for like nickels on a dollar. They were basically throwing it in there if you bought LSU football. Well, that ain't the case today.
No.
and all of that is about Skip and what he was able to do, and he put so much into it to make it appealing for people 50 and above, from 20 to 50, and then the young kids. He made it really something special to go to. If it was a Friday night, if it was a Saturday afternoon, a Sunday afternoon game, he made it, worth your while. And you got to watch some great baseball with some terrific baseball players there. And he won different ways. Remember at one time he won, it was gorilla ball.
Sure.
Man, they could swing the bat, and then he won with pitching. He always felt that a great coach had an ability to maneuver the talent around him, and that he felt too many coaches today were so insecure about doing it differently. And he was, I'm going to play to the strength of my team. And that's what he always tried to do. He tried to play to the strength of his team, but he wanted to make it exciting. He wanted to make it an adventure. And he became part of the show.
Sure.
And he talked about, they played a game against Mississippi State. And, and he had a certain walk, and it was almost like a duck. He'd walk on the field to go to the pitcher, and it was, he called it the duck walk. And that's just the way his gait was. And the people at Mississippi State would do the duck call when he would walk onto the field. And he was like, nothing excited me more than hearing those duck calls. I mean, that was Skip. Now, he played to that. He was playing to it. And he was just fantastic about being a showman, but also I think he felt that his teams, he wanted them to reflect his personality, and that they were hardworking, that they were going to do what they had to do to win, and they were going to give you everything they got. And he really, really emphasized that quite a bit when he was coaching. And Dee Dee Bro, longtime LSU gymnast coach, she told me the story one time about, I'm there forever. And she said, in the early days, I mean, we weren't putting anybody in the stands for LSU women's gymnastics. No one. And she said, I got a phone call from then LSU athletic director Bob Broadhead. And Bob is the one who actually hired Skip from Miami of Florida. And she was like, you know how Broadhead was. And she had a certain name from him, but I can't use it on the air. But he calls her and says, Dee Dee, I need to talk to you right away. It's really, really important. And it's urgent that I speak to you about LSU women's gymnastics. Dee Dee says, the only time in my life I refused to go to a meeting. I did not show up when Broadhead asked me to meet him because I knew what he was going to tell me, that they were going to try to drop it, LSU gymnastics. And so she said, I refused to show up. If he'd have dropped it and I'd have read about it in the paper or whatever, so be it. But she said, when Skip became the athletic director and he would call her and say, Dee Dee, Skip, when you get a chance, I need to talk to you. She said, Mike, I was in his office in 5 minutes because I knew he was going to try to help me win.
Right.
And he was going to try to help me do everything I could. The other thing Skip did, LSU starts now becoming a big-time college baseball program. Skip goes to the chancellor and said, listen, I'm putting money in y'all coffers. Y'all got to give it back to me, some of it. Yeah. You got to give it back, some, to me. And he said LSU had not done that. LSU was feeding that money to either football or basketball. They were not giving it back to baseball. But he said, I insisted to the chancellor that, hey, listen, if we helping you make money, then you got to give some of it back. He said, then I find out, once I told that, and I'm sure he told it to everybody, every school in the SEC started doing the same thing.
Sure.
They wanted some part of the revenue off of baseball.
Mike Detillier talking Skip Burtman. Mike, is he the most beloved coach because he was there? So I know people love Dale Brown, and there was a lot of similarities between being showmen and promoters and marketers. Saban, I know there's love there, but he wasn't there long, and then, going to Bama. Is Burtman the most beloved LSU figure, Mike D?
Ain't even a question.
Yeah.
Not even a question mark, yes. He was the guy. He won big. He was such a big part of the community, and he was the guy that no matter what, even after retirement, he was still part of the LSU brand. He was still, and they would go to him for important, things that they wanted to do in the athletic department. He always had his fingers on the pulse of college athletics. There were some things he didn't like, and he made it known. The last time he came on with us, he was not crazy about a guy going to 6 schools in 7 years. He felt that, there should be a limit to that. He did feel that that should be a 6 year of eligibility if you redshirted and then you had a medical excuse, that you should be given that. He said, why wouldn't it benefit college sports? He never understood the kick. And like you said, most of this is from politicians that don't understand college sports. But he was about limiting the amount of places you could go. He felt that had gotten way out of hand. He said, hey, listen, if they can get that kind of money, I'm not against it. I'm not against, if somebody's going to pay you that, I'm not against that part at all. And he had his own little way of thinking about college sports. He really did. And when you listen to him, you always learn something about college sports. But he was always about, you treat people right in this world, and they're going to treat you right. Now, like you said, you might be disappointed every once in a while, but for the most part, it's satisfying. And he loved to coach, and he felt coaching and teaching was hand in hand with it. Just, I can't tell you what type of, just a fabulous guy, and he was, and what a great motivator, and the type of individual that you would want around you if you needed advice on, and he was sometimes blunt about it, but he felt, hey, if it helps you, it helps you. And so he was something else. Dale was a little bit more preachy. I guess that's the right term. Coach Brown was a little bit more preachy about things than Skip. Skip was to the point. Let me explain to you what I'm going to tell you. Dale was a little bit more on the preachy side about things, but they had some similarities overall, but they just did it a different way.
Yeah. Mike, that was fantastic. 22 minutes on Skip Bertman. The best to ever do it in college baseball.
He's one of one. I don't say that often.
No.
But he's one of one. There ain't a lot of guys in my lifetime that will accomplish what he accomplished.
Wow.
And in college sports and just the changing of how LSU ran their program and getting the money aspect pumped in.
No doubt. Mike, that was great. Have a good week, my man. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Wow. Mike Detillier on his friend Skip Bertman. Back in a second.